We are so excited to be with you today.
We're here.
We're here.
We're
We're
here
in the office.
But we're not in this.
We're not in the studio.
We're in person. We're here in person. We're going to go live on Instagram here in just a minute.
Yeah.
In theory.
So if you are just joining us, this is slightly different than our typical, you've got questions.
We've got answers.
So
even that was weird.
I know.
That
feels funny.
Weird.
Okay. It's a little bit different.
Real quick, but this is Brooke. No, why are the names backwards? Anyway, this is Brooke and I'm Darby.
Yeah.
And today we're just going to do a BYU-Pathway update.
Yeah, what's new this week?
And what is new with you?
What's new with me?
Oh, well,
I
wasn't prepared for that question.
But I think most of you know I'm in graduate school, so school's back in session.
Wow. I started a Spanish class last week.
Yes.
I have learned.
Muy bien.
No, I don't know anything yet. 4 minutos. I think that's what I learned today. And that wasn't even in class.
No, that was from our friends Maggie and Mel.
Yeah. Maggie and Mel are here. They're helping us in the chat. So if you ask a question or make a comment, Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, that's the other one, they're going to answer your questions. And Brooke and I are just going to talk a little bit about BYU Pathway, kind of what's up, what's happening, and all of those things. So we're just glad everybody's here. But yes, this is a little bit different format. You can still ask your questions. Just put them in the chat, and Maggie and Mel will answer those for us. Okay, so Brooke, classes started last week.
Yeah, January 8th.
Thank you for being very specific.
So precise.
January. We haven't done this in person in too long.
We like to razz each other if you haven't caught on.
Doing this remotely is not nearly as fun. Classes started January 8th. So people should have had their first
gathering,
maybe second gathering, depending on when their gathering is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So tell us about it. Like what's been memorable, what's been fun, what are you learning? And if you have someone that you know and love and you feel like, gosh, I really enjoyed this first week, I think they would have a great time. Our applications for April are already open. So they've missed January, but they can still get started in April and would love to have them. So tell us in the comments what you're learning, what you're enjoying. We'd love to hear from you.
You went all serious on
that.
I
did.
One.
But it just was so fun.
The first couple of gatherings are fun.
Yeah.
They're nervous. You're
kind of nervous. You're like, I'm meeting this new group. This is going to be like my cohort.
So if you haven't been here before with Brooke, she likes to act out every scenario possible.
I just like examples, okay?
She's like, so you show up, you open your laptop, and join
you're ready.
Your gathering, and you're exciting. So nervous. But they're great. But we would love to know what made your first gathering really fun.
Yeah.
And again, if you're just joining us, I'm Darby.
And I'm Brooke.
This is called Not You've Got Questions, We've Got Answers. No. This is just an update BYU Pathway this week. We thought it would be fun to just share a little bit of what people need to know. If you do have questions, though, Maggie and Mel are in our direct messages, and you can send them a message and they will answer you.
I love it.
So and I'm gonna have Maggie join us for just a minute and introduce a live that's going to happen in a couple of hours that's going to be in Spanish. So Maggie's going to jump up. She can share that in Spanish for the team, and she's excited. I can see that she's ready. Hey, Maggie.
Hi. Well,
Maggie, tell everybody.
Hola a todos. Bueno, como estaba diciendo Darby no sé para qué lado es, en inglés, vamos a tener hoy un en vivo en español en un par de horas. Va a depender del país en donde estén y de donde lo miren, así que no podría decirles exactamente, pero sería a las 5 de la tarde de Utah, así que hagan sus cálculos por ahí. Vamos a tener una persona súper especial con nosotras. Y nada, si tienen preguntas en español y eso, vamos a estar todo en español. Así que pueden conectarse más tarde y, bueno, hacer sus preguntas por ahí. Vamos a estar súper encantadas de tenerles.
I understood none of that. I need more Spanish classes. Sure.
See, I understand way better than I feel comfortable speaking.
What? You can't.
That's great, Brooke.
I'll be able to introduce myself.
You will.
Me llamo.
Darbyson. Miyama?
Yeah, it would be an A. Oh.
Well, they call me.
Whatever. Okay. Well, you know what? Now I'm not going to want to practice in front of you.
Yo soy Darby.
Can you do either way,
because
Maggie?
Sarah and a star.
It's either way.
Either way. See? Hey.
Miyama.
Okay, so we'll have Maggie, we'll let Maggie go for a minute, and then we'll have her come back and introduce that live again for everybody else who joined us. So
thanks.
Thanks, Maggie.
Okay, maybe if I can figure out how to take it. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So-
Okay. No, go, please.
So one of the other things students need to do if you've just started, you want to make sure that you're submitting an assignment in the next 5 days. So you'll want to make sure that you've submitted an assignment so that you're not dropped. So one of the things that BYU-Pathway does is it will drop anyone who hasn't submitted an assignment in the first 1 or 2 weeks.
But why?
So part of it is because we want you to be successful. And if you go beyond the first 2 weeks, tuition will become due. And that hold will stay on your account. So if you're not participating, if something's happened and this semester is no longer great for you, we would just recommend that you withdraw. We want to help you stay. We want to help you succeed, and we know that you can, but life happens sometimes. So if this semester is not great for you, you can re-enroll in April. But part of the reason why we do that drop is so that people don't get a financial hold on their account.
Mm-hmm.
We want to make sure that they are having a great experience and really connecting in. So if you are wanting to be in this semester, if you're ready to do it, please make sure that you are submitting an assignment in Canvas before Monday night.
You know what? I think Maggie needs to come up and say that in Spanish.
That's probably a great idea.
Maggie, you ready to come say that in Spanish?
So you want
She
to
is.
submit an assignment by Monday night to not be dropped.
Ok, Darby, Brooke estaba diciendo que ustedes necesitan subir o como entregar sus tareas los lunes en la noche para que no sean, porque las clases acaban de empezar, ¿verdad? Entonces puede ser que tal vez por cosas de la vida no han podido entregar sus tareas. Y si todavía no entregaron ninguna tarea, puede que los saquen del grupo en el que se inscribieron si no entregan hasta este lunes próximo en la noche. Entonces, tienen que asegurarse de hacerlo antes del lunes en la noche para poder continuar estudiando, ¿verdad? O si realmente no van a poder estudiar este semestre, poder avisar, si no saben cómo salirse, avisar a su mentor o a alguien que tengan contacto y decirles como no voy a poder estudiar, así que por favor quiero salirme, ¿cómo hago? Y bueno, estar libres de deuda y bueno, de la responsabilidad de tener que entregar sin tener el tiempo suficiente. Así que antes de este lunes en la noche.
Yep.
You see me nodding like I'm understanding.
You're like, sure. This feels like I'm just giving that positive energy back. Awesome. Thanks for reminding me.
All right, thanks, Meg. Okay.
So,
we need to bring our energy. This is what this is all about.
I know.
Okay, so if you're just joining, Brooke, Darby, this is not you've got questions, we've got answers. Although we love you've got questions, we've got answers.
We'll be back later.
But you know what? We went live last week and we realized like we have other things to talk about.
Yeah.
I mean, kind
People
of.
have other questions.
We kind of have other things to talk about. So we thought it would be fun to kind of just test this out and see if we like doing a series where we just talk at you.
Yeah.
And we just share what's happening in BYU-Pathway, what you might need to know. Now, if you have questions, you can put your questions in the chat. We have Maggie and Mel who are going to answer questions on Instagram and Facebook. And hopefully they can help you out with those questions, and they'll let us know if there's a question that they need a little bit of help with.
Yep.
So really quick. So classes started last week, right,
Yep.
Brooke? People really need to submit an assignment.
Yes.
And that is so that they don't get that financial hold on their account.
Yep.
So that they're not blocked from taking classes in the future,
Yeah.
and they don't get a poor grade and they have to retake a class.
Yeah.
All of that.
And I'll say if someone has submitted an assignment, they still will have time to, and they want to participate, they're still going to have time to pay their tuition till the end of the term. But the reason why we drop folks is because we want to make sure, like if they're not participating, if they're not ready, if they go beyond those 2 weeks, they'll get a financial hold. We're assuming that they want to be here, they're ready to be here, and they'll need to pay that in order to return later. And so we just drop anyone who hasn't submitted an assignment in the first 2 weeks. We know life happens, things get busy. Sometimes you miss that first week, you're not quite sure what to do or where to turn in. And so we would just want to make sure that people are prepared and can come back when they're ready.
Okay, Brooke, there is a question here that I think would be interesting to answer.
Yeah, sure.
And it talks about kind of the process when somebody's taking Pathway Connect 103.
Yeah.
That is when you start your application to the
Yes.
university, and that's when you can do your ecclesiastical endorsement. You
Yep.
can't actually do it before that application because that
It's gotta be
request
linked
isn't
to it.
sent.
Yeah.
So I'm going to put this question up. So Penny just asked, how long does it take? Should I start that ecclesiastical process now?
Yeah.
Once you start 103.
Yeah. So if you're enrolled in Pathway Connect 103, you're going to be starting your online degrees application. I would start that ecclesiastical endorsement process now.
Yeah.
I know that sounds
if you started
wild.
103.
Yeah. So if you're in 103 now, just because sometimes your bishops or branch presidents, your ecclesiastical leaders get backed up. And so sometimes you're not able to get in there as quickly as you might think. And so I would start that process now. So if you're in Pathway Connect 103, part of your curriculum is going to be about preparing for applying to BYU Idaho or Ensign College Online. That online degree application is great. You'll walk through that, but I would start your ecclesiastical endorsement now if you're in 103.
Yeah.
It just takes time, and we want to make sure you've got all the time that you need to have a great time.
Yeah. And I think the other thing to remember with your ecclesiastical endorsement is your bishop you do a bishop's interview and then a stake president level interview, and they don't get a notification really. I think they technically do, but it's going to be
the system doesn't work the way
it's going to benefit you to reach out to like your executive secretary and just schedule an appointment with the bishop. I did it recently. I'm taking a Spanish class right now.
Muy bien.
I don't know what that means. And so I needed to reach out, and then I needed to reach out to the stake presidency.
Yeah.
So make sure you take that effort and don't wait for them to reach out to you. Okay, so if you're just joining us again, this is Brooke. I'm Darby.
Yep.
Normally we do a series called You've Got Questions, We've Got Answers, which we love. You can still ask your questions. We'll look for ones that we need to answer or that are relevant to this week. This week we just wanted to talk about like some updates, some things to know, and we have two of our besties in the chat, Maggie and Mel, and they're going to answer, and they can also answer in Spanish. So if you put your questions in, and there's going to be a Spanish.
Portuguese.
Oh, show offs.
I know.
Trilingual back there.
It's amazing.
So you can put those questions in the chat, and they'll be able to answer those. Okay. So real quick, we were just talking about classes started last week.
Yeah.
You need to submit an assignment. This week they need to submit an assignment. Okay.
So if they've already submitted one last week, they're sort of
and this is for Pathway Connect.
Yes. So if you're in Pathway Connect 101, 102, 103, you need to have at least one assignment submitted between last week and this week to be able to continue on. So anyone who is not actively participating in Pathway Connect after if they don't submit an assignment by Monday evening, they will be dropped from this term. They'll have the chance to be able to re-enroll and come back, but we just want to make sure that people who are still, in our system are actively participating.
Perfect. Okay. What else do we want to? Let's talk about the devotional.
Yeah.
President Melinda had a devotional
yesterday.
Yes.
So if you haven't watched it yet, you can watch it on our Facebook feed. You can just scroll down. It's all about thinking celestial and talking about President Nelson's most recent General Conference address.
It's a good one.
It is a great one, yeah. So you'll have the opportunity to discuss that in your gathering. So make sure that you're watching that and participating. It's been pretty fun to hear and see some of the comments. And, we'd love to just know how you guys are choosing to think celestial this winter. Why did I say fall?
I don't know. And we're in Utah.
It's winter
and
here,
snowing.
But it's also summer in the southern region.
That's true.
That's
true. Okay, we have kind of an interesting question I haven't seen before from Instagram. It says, "Hey, I'm close to completing all of the classes in my degree audit, but it doesn't quite put me at the 120 credits. I'm in doing the 4-year degree program.
Yeah.
Do I have to take an additional class to get to 120?"
Okay, so great question. I would say there's going to be probably a couple of different options. So in April, we are launching the 90 credit degrees that focus in on the core curriculum.
Yeah.
So electives will be gone, but there'll be the option to, so any new student that goes to BYU Idaho or Ensign College Online beginning in April will be on that 90 to 96 degree credit track.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll have that will be the standard. But we do have some students who right now are in that sort of limbo, if you will, of like,
Yeah.
is the 96 credit degree best for me? Is the 120 credit degree best for me? And so there is a website, BYU-Pathway.edu/degree-in-3, which is kind of a long URL.
I got it for you.
I love it. You're ready. But that URL is going to have more information on the 3-year degree. It's also going to have information to our FAQ document. And so it sounds like if you have really honed in on your core curriculum, transitioning to the 3-year degree might be the best option for you. And so what I would recommend is review that website, see if your use case sort of fits that scenario. And then I would talk with your mentor. They should be able to help you get an appointment with an advisor to really talk through and say, hey, as I'm registering for classes for April, what do I still need to do? Am I a good candidate to switch from the 120 credit to the 96 credit degree?
And I think this specific question is saying they're almost done with all the classes.
It sounds
so
like it.
Do they need to make an appointment? Like what would be, because I don't know.
Yeah. So I would say I would make an appointment, because without more information, it's hard to know what you have left. And if those classes are, core curriculum, if it's electives you have left. In a traditional 120 credit degree, you'll have your core curriculum that's dedicated towards your major or your certificates. Then you'll have general education classes as well as elective classes. And so sometimes people will use those electives to work through and get another certificate. Sometimes they'll use them just to learn a new skill. And so you'll want to look at, what's going to be best for you. So my advice would be to work with your peer mentor. They'll get you an appointment with an advisor so that they can help you answer those specific questions and look at your degree audit specifically.
That was great.
It was a roundabout.
It wandered.
It wandered. But I was trying to take it holistically for other people who might have the same question.
You did. Brooke doesn't know. That's the answer.
I don't.
Brooke doesn't know. Hey, but congratulations, you stumped her. But tool-wise,
the Degree in 3 website, reaching out to your mentor.
Early on, if you're later, reach out to your mentor to get an advising appointment.
Yep.
Okay.
So, and come April, everyone will be on the 96 credit path.
Yeah. Okay, so someone just asking, Brooke, do we answer questions about Ensign?
So if they're related to BYU Pathway specifically, we might be able to help. But if it is Ensign specific, we probably are not going to be the best people to help answer that.
Okay. Okay, so we have another question here that I want to get to in just a minute. So I'll just introduce this again. So, hey, Brooke, Darby, this is called Not You've Got Questions, We've Got Answers.
BYU Pathway this week.
Ingrained. This is BYU Pathway this week. We're going to we'll answer a couple questions here. We want to talk about a few other topics. Maggie and Mel are in our DMs, and they will answer as many questions as they can. They have a few that they're getting stumped on, so they're asking us. Yeah. So, hey, this question says, hey, I skipped a semester and I'm out of the Heber J. Grant tuition discount and the fee is too much. Can I get the tuition discount again?
Okay, so a couple of things. So the application to apply for the Heber J. Grant tuition discount was Monday. So for this term, the time is up. But if you had it previously, it should just reinstate. So if you can send us a direct message, if you are currently enrolled taking classes this January, send us a direct message with your student ID information. We'll see what we can do if we can pass that on to someone that might be able to help. But if you, on a broader scale, if you skip a semester and are ready to come back, we would love to have you. If you are ready to start 102, you'll be able to do that in February. If it's 103 or coming back and retaking 101, that will take place in April. And so you absolutely can come back. You absolutely can reapply for the Heber J. Grant tuition discount. We want to help you. We want to make it as affordable as possible. So if someone's not familiar with the Heber J. Grant tuition discount, tell us about it, Darby.
Here we go. It is a needs-based scholarship.
Yeah.
Available to all BYU Pathway students.
Everyone.
10, 25, or 50% off.
That's right.
You apply for it after you've enrolled.
Yep.
So when you log in as a student, there should be a prompt that's set, and you'll probably get an email and some of,
we want you
some
to take advantage of
WhatsApps
this.
and
So we will hound you.
We'll message you. And it takes about 40 minutes. It has some videos that you watch, some stuff that you read, you answer a few questions, and you talk about kind of your current life circumstances. And then pretty quickly, I think within about a day, it's awarded. And you'll go to your student portal, and there's a bar up on the top, and one of the options is finance, and you're going to select that, and you'll be able to see that award. If for some reason that hasn't shown up for you and it's been a while, send us a direct message, let us know, and we'll try to get you pointed in the right direction, or reach out to your peer mentor and they can create a ticket for you, which will get that question answered. Okay, so if you're just joining us, I'm Darby and this is Brooke, and this is just an update on BYU Pathway this week. So we're like, our energy is going down.
It's back up. Okay,
down.
So
what should we talk about? Well, let's talk about the fact that we haven't done a live together in a while. I'm not going to give you a chance to answer. We haven't done a live together in a while, and we've really missed it.
Yeah, it's fun to be together.
So we'll need to talk about more topics.
Yes.
But apparently we don't have any other topics.
So the other tuition discount, we're on the tuition discount topic.
Oh, okay.
Is the return missionary tuition discount. So if you or someone you love has recently returned home from a mission in the last 60 months or 5 years, they are eligible for a 25% tuition discount.
Bring the energy up.
So this tuition discount's awesome. What I love about this tuition discount is that it is available for all recently returned missionaries. So if you are a young recently returned missionary, whether that's proselyting or doing service, you're going to get 25% off, and that is good.
Higher energy.
That's good for the first 5 years after you return home. So example, if you've been home for a year and you're ready to dive into school, you're going to have 4 years of that 25% off.
4.
So, and that should automatically be applied. It's linked to your church account. And so there's nothing that you should have to do. If for whatever reason you've recently returned home and it's not showing in your account, please let us know and we will look into that.
Oh, that was so much better. It was better. Okay. Hey, I'm doing Ensign College and I can't register for my institute class.
Okay.
We have 2 institute questions. Oh, another person saying they're struggling to register.
Okay.
Boo.
I'm not aware of a known issue.
Yeah.
So I'm going to send a note to someone real fast and try to get an answer.
So that's the great thing about like when we go live is Brooke knows who to ask and to make sure that it's maybe it's us, not you. And we'll try to figure out. So she's going to look that up real quick. We're going to leave those questions starred. Okay, the next question that I thought was kind of interesting, Brooke, I'm going to get up here on our chat. So if you're just joining us, I'm Darby and this is Brooke, and this is usually the segment we call You've Got Questions, We've Got Answers, which we love. But we thought that we would extend it and try to talk about different topics. But I know that we really like asking Brooke questions, so we're not against it. So we're going to answer a few questions while we're chatting. So the question is, if my gathering is on Thursday morning, is the assignment due the following Wednesday? So no, your assignments are going to be due on Saturday. Saturday night Mountain Standard Time. So all assignments for the week, including the gathering that you attended that week, you just need to turn it in. So when I took Pathway Connect, right after class, I would just fill out that assignment and then it was done.
Yeah.
So you don't need to wait until Saturday. You don't need to wait until Saturday for any of your assignments. You can do those as soon as they're open and you can just turn them in. So hopefully that answers the question. You don't need to wait, but it is due the end of the week. Like that you went to class. Okay, so Brooke's asking a question about institute. I love it. Okay, Brooke. So a couple of things I want to review real quick. Classes started last week. Students need to submit an assignment. Any assignment.
So for whether it's from week 1 or week 2, they need to have an assignment submitted. And we need that submitted in the next few days so that we make sure that we keep you active.
So if it's any assignment, even like acknowledging that you went to your gathering.
It's any assignment that's in Canvas.
In Canvas. Anything that you mark did it. And submit.
Check done.
Check done.
Check done.
And done. Okay, so Brooke's looking into the institute question. Is there a penalty for a late submission? So yeah, there probably is, and that's going to be in the syllabus. Most classes, there is a point submission penalty, but go ahead and do it. I don't know if there's a penalty for that particular assignment. But if you didn't submit last week's, go ahead and submit it. You can miss a few without it being really impactful to your grade, but you can submit it. And now if it's closed, I would reach out to your instructor and let them know that maybe you were confused, or that it's your first time taking this class and you're not sure.
An internet issue.
There could be a lot of different reasons, but if you ever run into a problem with any submission where you're like, I tried, this was like, it didn't work, and that happens to everybody, you reach out to your professor right away, so that you have documented that you attempted that and you worked on it. And you can find your professor's information in Canvas, and they should be emailing you and notifying you. So as long as you've set up your notifications in Canvas to let you get emails, you should be getting emails. So I think I forgot a few times. It's not the biggest thing, but definitely it's an easy one. So I always just did it right after our gathering.
Well, and I think that also we talked a little bit about this of like tactics for success. And one of the things that Darby does that I really admire is that she will like spreadsheet everything.
It's a little bit of a problem.
But she's on top of things. She has that, she's calendaring, she's paying attention. And so I think part of what like success and having a successful semester is just making sure that you know what's coming up next.
Yeah, it is really important. Like we were calendaring our family life this week.
I love it.
I like to know when I'm supposed to be where.
Yep.
Okay, this question is kind of a carryover, Brooke. It says, what's the penalty for a late submission? So I actually don't know. You would have to look at the syllabus for your class. And if you don't know, I would email your teacher. And ask them.
Because sometimes it's different depending on the class. So like I know some teachers are like, we don't accept late assignments, and some are, it's a 5% doc, or it's a letter grade
and it
doc.
will be listed in your syllabus. All of that should be listed.
And the certificate class that you're taking in PC1 as part of PC 103 does count toward your degree. So it's your first class toward your certificate.
Love it. Okay, so we have another question from Instagram. When is the application deadline, and how do I go about inviting someone who is not a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints? Brooke, take that. You start that.
Yeah. So first of all, classes start every January, April, and September. So we are past our application deadline to start this January. So the next round of applications for Pathway Connect and for online certificates and degrees is going to be in early April. So you've got a little bit of time. My recommendation would be to invite them to one of our lives. We also have a team that does webinars every other week, and they're in English, Spanish, Portuguese, and French. So depending on your friend's native language, that would be a great place for them to learn a little bit more about BYU Pathway, what to expect. You can also just send them the URL. BYU-Pathway.edu is a great place to learn and figure out what's going on. We also have been building up our YouTube channel with a lot of really great content.
Way to plug the YouTube channel. Okay, honestly, I love YouTube because it is really easy, because there's chapter markers in there, so you can like really figure out where the topic is. You don't have to listen to Brooke and I go live forever. No. You can find out like the answers to most of your questions.
We also have a playlist called Reasons to Join BYU Pathway. And there's some really great information and videos on there. So if you go to our YouTube channel, so if you just search BYU Pathway Worldwide on YouTube, you'll be able to find it. And there's a lot of really great resources, student stories, things that you can share with your friends and family that might be interested.
Love it. Okay. So this series, we usually do a series called You've Got Questions, We've Got Answers. We decided we'd try to talk about different things. Now, did you find out about institutes?
No one's gotten back to me yet. So that's why I was just checking. So as soon as we have an answer, we will let you know.
Yeah, we're kind of saving that one. Yeah. Okay. So what else should we talk about?
So the other thing that we are doing this week, but you guys won't see for a little bit, is Darby's like, what are you going to say?
I don't know. What are we talk about?
So you may have seen a promo late last week, early this week. President and Melinda Ashton are going to be speaking about nurturing eternal relationships, relationships with the Savior, with our friends and family, with a partner, and just really what that looks like, and some advice. They're also going to share some fun stories from their life. So that's going to be on January 31st. So make sure you're tuning in.
And this is part of the background that we were setting up.
It's going to look so pretty.
So you're getting a little sneak peek. It's going to be a good one. It should be about 15, 20 minutes. Yeah. And we had, how many questions did we have submitted for that?
1,600.
Or 1,600.
1,600.
1,600 is a little tricky.
Yeah.
Like if English is
A
a
non-native,
language.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 1,600 from 97 countries, which is amazing.
So close to 100.
I know. We were hoping, but part of what I think is so fun about this audience and about you guys is that it's truly international.
Yeah.
It is worldwide.
Yeah.
And we love the opportunity that we have to get to know you guys better, to serve you, to answer questions, and just to cheer you on. Going to school is hard. Going back to school as an adult is hard. Both Darby and I have done those things. And while we love it, it just builds our admiration for you guys and what you guys are doing and going through. And we're just so proud and excited.
This is a great question, Brooke. And I have thought about this before. How can someone make use of rubrics? And just talking about rubrics in general.
Yeah.
We need to talk about that. So how do you make use of a rubric, Brooke? You're taking some classes right now. What do you do when you're going to submit an assignment?
Yeah.
And the instructor has given you some pretty clear guidelines.
I love it. Yes. So one of my favorite things to do is I'll read through the assignment first. I put the instructions at the top of the document I'm working on so that I can easily go back and reference it. And then after I am done with it and I feel good about where it's at, I go back and double check the rubric. So if they say, hey, 10% of your grade is going to be based on style, and 5% is going to be based on grammar, and 20%, you sort of look at what's the rubric.
No, just keep going.
I just, all the numbers. Can I get to 100? And so part of what I like to do is just really go back and double check. So if time allows, I love to read through it, make sure I understand what's being asked of me, what's expected.
Yeah.
And then I like to have easy reference to those. So sometimes I'll work offline. So I don't want to use the internet the whole time that I'm working on an assignment. So I will just copy and paste or download the assignment information, the rubric. And so then I can access that later without having to use data. And then I just reference it as I'm working.
Yeah.
So that has been really helpful for me. One of my professors told me one time they were working on a pretty big assignment and they had a lot going on in their life. And so they looked at the rubric and went, all right, 50% of the grade is based on doing really well in this section. And so they spent the bulk of their time on that 50%.
That's a good strategy, yeah.
And then they went, okay, what's the next biggest category for the rubric? And then spent their time that way. So sometimes you don't have all of the time that you would like to give to an assignment. So I would look at where the bulk of the grade is going to come from.
Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, I have a 14-year-old son, and he had to write a paper recently, and we went through the rubric. Yeah. And we sat down and I said, okay, did you do that? Like, is this part present in the paper? Like, is it here? He said, yes. I said, okay. Is this part here? He said, yes, it's okay. So we went through and we made sure, kind of like a checklist. Yeah. Did I do these parts that the teacher is expecting to see? Yeah. And just teaching that's when they laid it out, that's what they wanted to see. Yep. And then everything else is beautiful. Yeah. But make sure you don't miss those core parts.
Yes. Yeah. So download it, cross-reference it, make sure you look at it before you turn in an assignment.
Okay. We have another really great question. Okay. So again, I'm Darby and this is Brooke. And this is not You've Got Questions, We've Got Answers. This is kind of like one we're trying out, where we're going to talk about some other topics too. But there's some really great questions. And we have Maggie and Mel in the chat here, and they're answering questions. They can answer in Spanish. And you can kind of ask them if you have something really specific. And they're giving us a few questions that we're going to bring up to the screen. So this next question says, hey, I'm a single mom with a full-time job, and always have at least a week ahead with my coursework, which is amazing. Yeah. I'm applying for a degree. How many credits would you suggest per semester? So this is a great question, because you really do want to stay successful and keep motivation. Yeah. So each credit is going to equal about 3 hours of coursework, outside of class. Yep. We don't do lectures usually, so it's about 3 hours. And so most classes are about 3 credits. Yep. Institutes 2. Yep. Some classes are 4. There's very few that are any more than that. Yeah. So it's kind of a math thing. Now, I will say this. Some classes are going to be easier for you. Yeah. So if you're taking a Spanish class, but you have had a lot of Spanish experience, it's probably not going to take you 3 full hours per credit. But however, if you're taking math and math is hard for you, you might need to plan at least 3 hours per credit. So I would look at how much free time you really feel like you have and make sure that, okay, if I have 12 hours a week, you know, what does that equal out to? How many classes can I take if I can? So any other suggestions there, Brooke?
I would say also just involving our heavenly parents in what you're like. So be practical, right? Like come to a decision, look at your schedule, look at what time you have available. But Sister Ashton shares an experience that like I just love and I've tried to take to heart.
It's one of Brooke's favorites.
I share it all the time because I love it.
I probably heard her say it.
It was like a life-changing experience for me when I was like, yes. So I'm in school right now also. And I have a little bit of a perfectionist. Like I want to do really well. I want to perform. Darby was teasing me because I was like 95. I was a little upset about getting a 95, which sounds insane.
It's ridiculous.
So she talked about how she was spending a lot of her time studying and she wasn't giving as much time to the rest of her life to really look at being a whole person. So having time to, you know, have friends and have a relationship and spend time serving and time in the temple and things like that. And so she went to the Lord and said, okay, I've looked at my schedule. I've looked at what's going on. I would like more balance in my life. And so she prayed about what she felt like she could adequately give. And she testifies that the Lord magnified her time. And I can also testify that that's true. If you really rely on that. So be practical, think it through, and come to them with, hey, here's what I feel like is possible with what I have in my life. You know, can you help me make the time necessary to do this? Or here's how I'm planning to spend my weeks. And it will change your experience.
That's good. I've heard it.
She has. I will keep telling that story because I love it.
So we had a follow-up question about the institute issue with people not being able to enroll. Have you heard anything?
Not yet.
Okay. So
hopefully soon though.
Hopefully soon that they'll chime in. So what do we recommend for now?
Yeah. So for now, during Pathway Connect, enrolling in institute you won't be docked for not being enrolled.
So explain docked.
So you won't be penalized.
Yeah. So that's a great question. So the advantage of taking institute while in Pathway Connect is that it's free credit.
Yes.
And because you need religion credit to graduate from BYU Idaho or Ensign College, it's like you take them for free. So you're not going to have a problem during Pathway Connect if you haven't been able to enroll. And Brooke's looking for an answer.
Yeah.
So if that's the concern, don't worry. Now, if you're in your degree, you're going to be taking them as a religion course as part of your course, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to be different. So hopefully that helps like make you feel a little bit better. But since there's a couple of people who have said that they've had a problem, we are going to ask our colleagues again and really make sure that they look into this as a potential issue. Because one time we're like, okay, there could be a thing, but 2 or 3 reports in an hour, like there might be something going on and we're going to look into it. We just don't have an answer yet. Okay. Good question.
Yeah.
I love it.
So once we have an answer, we'll reply back to your comments once we know what's going on about Institute and if there's a known issue. So we're sorry that that's happening. That's really frustrating. So we have loved being with you and trying out this new series, and I'm sure we'll do it again.
Yeah, this was fun. Okay, so real quick, we're going to have Maggie come back up.
Yeah.
And Maggie is going to share about their live that they're going to do in Espanol. In Espanol.
Sí.
And so we'll let her.
A las 5:30.
5?
A la noche. That was a bad way to say it, but 5:30 tonight.
Oh.
It was not the most effective way to say it, but I think it could be understood.
Cinco. Okay, so Maggie, you tell people about your live, and then we'll jump off here.
Thanks. Bueno, como dije al principio, hoy vamos a tener un en vivo en español para responder todas sus preguntas en español si es que tienen, si es que no se animan a preguntar en inglés. a ellas. Va a ser un poquito más tarde, depende del país donde estén, es la hora, pero es como 5:30 de la hora de Utah, de la hora de la montaña. Así que, no sé, hagan sus cálculos dependiendo en el país donde estén. Y nada, los esperamos y vamos a estar con una persona muy especial que no conocen todavía, así que nada, los esperamos allá y esperemos que podamos ayudarles.
Perfect.
Awesome.
All
Thanks
right.
for joining us.
Bye, everyone. See ya.